Hello everyone! It's time to go over our potentially final map of Splatoon 3 Lemuria Hub. This is a bit of a different stage, more similar to Skipper Pavilion and Salt Spray Rig. Let's take a look and see if they did a good job with it. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy, and let's just start reviewing it. This has a very large spawn area. Pretty much this entire area you see, including this right side, is all in your spawn. In some of the other modes, this will turn into a ramp, but at least in zones, this entire area I've outlined is your spawn region. So you have a massive area to paint and spread out and kind of just move around. And from there, it splits into this lower area, the main part of the stage, and this top area. Before I cover either of those, we have to talk about this stage's gimmick, these moving platforms over here. These platforms are fast. Like, actually look at how quickly you can move from one side to the other. Like, it is an actual strat to just shark in one of these at times. You can have slower weapons sit in them. It can even like save you from something like area of effect weapons if it pulls you away. And these are probably the closest thing to a more gimmicky stage hazard that we've ever had in a multiplayer map. I don't really think it goes too far as to detract from it competitively outside of one mode, and we'll get there later. And I think casually, they're very fun to move around in. There's a lot of creative plays you can do with them, and, you know, they don't really hurt the map by any means. The top of the stage is probably my biggest disappointment of the map. As you can see, there's pretty much nothing here. If you compare this with Skipper Pavilion, this is where this giant, admittedly special farming area was, but it was still a way where you could drop and go back with the sponge, and you could flank in different ways depending on the mode, because there would be that uninkable area, or you could go down to the bottom of the map and drop on different sides of the statues. Now, this is just a one-way. Once you drop here, you're stuck in this little corner. And I mean, if you get out of the corner, you know, you can go here, down here, over here. Like, it splits to a lot of ways, but you're never able to get up even from this platform, and it's just tiny. So if you liked Skipper Pavilion for the top part of the map, there's basically nothing here. Instead, the trade-off for this is that the bottom of the map is extended quite a lot. There's kind of this middle top area, which features a sponge to go back or ramp in some of the other modes, and pretty open terrain, including on both sides. There's this little high ground for defenders on the left that you get, and then you can push on this top area and get access to the bridge from here. Pretty simple way, probably the easiest way to get onto the bridge. And then you have this lower area, kind of resembles Reef a little bit with this bridge up top. You have a few blocks down here, but not too much to work with. However, I think the only difference is the only way out are just the ramps and walls on both sides. And that's it. This is all unpaintable, unpaintable, unpaintable. Everything down here is unpaintable. And like, it's not the worst Death Bowl they've put in this game, but it does feel like a Death Bowl. And I feel like part of why Reef really worked is the abundance of movement options you had, and this feels a lot more limited, which kind of sucks because I think the gimmick over here is pretty cool, and I like this lower area. I think it's much more expansive than what we had in Skipper Pavilion, which is its closest comparison, but it just rings a little bit hollow. You know, there's enough options here for it to be one of the better Splatoon 3 maps, and for the lower area to definitely be fine to work around in, but it's just a lot more limited than what we could have had if this was really trying to be a mini Reef down here. The other unfortunate part for zones exclusively is there's just not many places to go. Like, this is about it, you know, zones is right there and you can just push here. You can't really go very far in at all on this map, so it's very limited to where you can actually go once you hold, and it leads to matches feeling a little bit more campy and stally. I think that zones on this map is still pretty alright, probably one of the better ones for Splatoon 3, but there is a lot of untapped potential here. So on tower control and the rest of the modes, you can see that this area is now a more open ramp, and there is this platform here that moves up and down to add another one to the stage. Pretty cool. For the most part, things here are pretty similar. However, there is now this sponge because in tower control only, for some reason, there's this wall here. This kind of sucks. Even the blocks are replaced with these uninkable blocks you can't even jump on as easily, and I don't know why. So now you can't push through this area. To make up for it, they put a block here you can climb up, which is like fine. You know, this in addition to the ramp could have probably been here the whole time, but sure. But now you have to go through this little choke point area in order to get anywhere. And what opened up the map is the fact that this was an option, especially because, you know, now going from the top of the map is kind of terrible because you can't go back to your own side. You can't flank the enemy side. So you drop here and your only option is to push the bridge. So it means that every time you drop on the top part of the map in tower control or turf war, because these walls are also here on turf war for some reason, is extremely predictable. Besides that, there's not even that many changes. changes, but I think if this wall was just gone, and I don't know why it's here in the first place, it would improve this map so much. The first checkpoint is down here, which I think is a fine spot for it. There's some defender high ground nearby. It is still pretty far to the back of the stage, but nowhere that's too inaccessible, and the tower path basically just moves straight up from here. You can see the rest of the path in a pretty solid line. You know, it sticks near some defender ground. I think the tower path is mostly fine. I think it would have been better if it stayed a little closer to the left, but maybe it had to move because of the platform. It's not inherently interesting, but the checkpoints are on the right spot, and it takes you into the enemy base, and yeah, unlike in zones, you can push this far here. It sucks that it feels so narrow, like you have to go up this ramp, and this is pretty much the only way up, but at least you can push a little bit further ahead while still having plenty of room for the defenders to work with. So I think tower control, unfortunately, is probably the worst mode for this map. This wall just ruins it, but if the wall wasn't here, I think this would be pretty solid, so that's a bit unfortunate. Now, Rainmaker doesn't have too many changes. There's this Rainmaker free zone over here to make sure you don't stall it too much, as well as this lower area is Rainmaker free for pretty obvious reasons. The annoying wall is gone, and in addition to that, you've got a rail, which is a nice extra way to contest the top of the map. I wish this rail was here in all modes. This is ridiculously helpful. The block is still there down there. We're off to an amazing start, and when we get to the Rainmaker, it is a 2-checkpoint map. You have this lower area and upper area, and yeah, they're kind of close to where you start with the Rainmaker, but this is pretty good. Like, you've got 2 varied routes here. If you don't get the checkpoint, you can even jump up here, which is really cool. So all of this is looking pretty good so far. You know, it kind of narrows down on this ramp, like this becomes the Rainmaker path from here, which kind of is unfortunate, but hey, a much more opened up middle of the map and solid checkpoint area. This is looking really good so far. Except this is about to get real controversial. I died with the Rainmaker right here, and now the Rainmaker got picked up by this platform, because that's a thing that can happen. And watch what happens to the Rainmaker. It can move with the platform, which is where the controversy comes from, because look at how many points I just get. That's at the bottom of the platform. It can be over here too, which is at about like what, 8 or so? So you can lose the rain and then the platform can just move. Like, say you just crack it up to the Rainmaker, pop the shield and grab it here, and you just get a bunch of points. And this is where the divide comes from. I think I'll talk about it more later on if this breaks the map or anything. Last up here is Clam Blitz. The basket is a decent bit further than where the Rainmaker checkpoint is, so it's pretty simple to score, and from here, it's pretty much the same as the Rainmaker layout, which I talked very positively about. I think that this is a pretty good Clam Blitz layout. I really don't have much to add because, again, it's basically the same as Rainmaker, but the objective is different with the clams, and I think it flows a bit better. This is probably its best mode, all things considered. The only thing I wish was changed is that I kind of wish you could go up here, like if there was just a block jump or something. But I guess you could still like use this area to poke and then drop into this area, and it gives the top of the map more usefulness. So that's cool. So I think Lemuria Hub is still a pretty solid stage, all things considered. The bottom of the map at its best, especially in the Rainmaker and Clam Blitz layouts, does feel fairly open, and even though there's a bit of a lack of paintable walls in the bowl area, the unique stage gimmick and just amount of room you have to work with down there definitely still feels fine in my opinion. I think it's especially a fun map to play on. If you're a casual player who wanted a stage with a bit more to do gimmick-wise, that played into a bit more of a unique identity in terms of layout and what you can do on it, I think this is a perfect stage for you. Competitive-wise, I'm not sure. I think tower control is ruined by that wall, and Rainmaker, I said I would talk about the platform. Casually, that could be a lot of fun, but competitively, I think it's just not worth having this map mode there. Like, yeah, it's a little bit funny at first, but there is a lot of cheese strats that are gonna happen with the Rainmaker there. I think if you had to die on the platform specifically, maybe it would be okay, but it's more that you can die anywhere in that platform's range, and it'll just pick up the Rainmaker. That's the problem for me. I think this map shines best competitively for Clam Blitz and Splat Zones. In fact, I think Clam Blitz is probably the best mode in general, casually or competitively. I think it has the best layout for it. It is going to be a bit weird to get used to the platform. Sometimes they can just save people or create weird moments, but it never really feels too random or jank. It just feels like a new mechanic that people haven't gotten used to yet. And as people understand how the platforms move and what timers they're on and all that, I think it'll be something that people feel a lot more in control of. So I think it's definitely a solid map to end off the game with. If it is the last map we're gonna get, it's definitely still on the higher end of Splatoon 3 map design. I hope it gets a rework in the future since we're still getting patches, because I think a few small changes like they did with the previous reworks would go a long way. But as a whole, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below.